I want to welcome everybody to today's Code Ninjas conference call. My name is Marty Flanagan, and I am the Vice President of Franchising, and I host these calls each and every week to help give you better insight, a better understanding, and really kind of give you a little bit more about Code Ninjas. But the most important part about these calls, and the funnest part about these calls, is also interactive, to where at the end of today's call, part of today's call is that we will be going over any questions you might have for Code Ninjas in terms of anything that I've said today, anything that you've read, anything that you've seen, and we can talk about those and do a live Q&A to be able to answer your questions. So that'll be done at the end of today's call, which the first 10 or 15 minutes, if you've ever listened to these calls in the past, the first 10 or 15 minutes are always the same. I give you this little bit of a backstory on Code Ninjas, where we come from. I also go into a couple pieces of our curriculum opportunities that we have for you, and along with that, why we decided to be a franchise. So again, if you're just joining us, my name is Marty Flanagan. I'm the Vice President of Franchising here with Code Ninjas, and this call is focused on the U.S. and Canada. We also are launching in the UK, and those calls are done in the afternoon here. But right now we're focusing on the U.S. and Canada. So just to kind of start everything off, where did Code Ninjas come from? What's going on? What have we accomplished? So I do this the first 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight. So Code Ninjas by the numbers. So Code Ninjas, we started Code Ninjas in 2016. So in 2016, we started developing our brand and who we are, what we're going to be, how we're going to be there, job descriptions, support structures, everything revolved around being a franchise. We started developing that side in 2016. That was done with Bert Sensipon, David Graham, our CEO and founder, and myself. And then move into March of 2017, we officially launch as a brand, and we open our first location, and that was March of 2017. Now, fast forward, pretty nice accomplishment, and 24 months after that, so March of 2019, we were at 464 sold locations. We had 102 locations open, now 115. We have 80 more locations opening in the next 60 days. The reason that's a big milestone with 225 franchisees is that in the first 24 months of operation, we have opened over 100 locations, which only 2% of franchise brands have done that, have accomplished that. So it was very validating. It was very exciting to see how we have grown as a brand, how our franchisees have really developed Code Ninjas as a brand, and how we've grown is pretty exciting. Now, obviously, in May, actually yesterday, we had one of our largest discovery days to date, as that was yesterday at our corporate office in Houston. And then on May 21st, I'll be hosting a discovery day in London, England, which we currently have more than 30 attendees already signed up for. We have collected more than 600 contacts that have reached out to us in the UK. It's pretty exciting to see that kind of growth. So really, where does all that stem from? Where does it come from? Obviously, if you've done much reading, you know about our main motto, our main kind of base, which is kids have fun, parents see results. We teach kids how to code through a game-based curriculum. When it comes to how all that started, David Graham is our founder and CEO. David Graham has been a coder and a programmer for over 25 years, entrepreneur his entire life. And really, when it comes to how this all came about, he actually stepped out of the technology world and went into a franchise and really saw the benefits of walking into this world that he was not familiar with and teaming up with the right franchise, and how success came with that. And how his ability to make things happen, the franchise's ability to make things happen, how all that worked together and to bring David success in that franchise, which was outside of technology, outside of his world of technology development and programming. And then he sold that franchise after being a part of that franchise for a little while. He sold that. He opened a school that taught adults how to code. That school operated for about 4.5 years, in 18 different cities, and that was teaching adults going into the vocational side. And there wasn't a week that went by, if you've heard this story, there wasn't a week that went by that he wasn't continually asked by the students there and by other individuals, how we get the younger generation involved. Well, school to the Wozniak Group, and now that's part of WazU. And he focused more time on Code Ninjas because that question just kept coming. And then as he was sitting in his son's karate studio and he looked at the belts, those 9 belts, white through black, and how he looked at that and said, you can learn how to code the same way. And he was already doing research on the market to say, okay, what is out there teaching our younger generation how to code? How are they doing it? Is it being effective? Where is it happening at? What markets is it happening? What markets isn't it happening? And how can we bring this into those spaces and be competitive? But more importantly, how can we do it to really engage the kids so they're having fun? And at the same time, parents are seeing results. And that's really what we focus in on. So that's when the curriculum started to come together, started to build the curriculum. We started to build us as a franchise versus a corporate-run entity. We know that franchisees are going to develop the brand, develop systems, processes, best practices, collaboration, working together. We know that that is the best way to drive a brand forward, to get into communities in the free market, to get into communities where maybe a coding, programming, that wouldn't even be a thing if it wasn't for a free-thinking entrepreneur that sees value in it, sees a passion and brings it into a community and creates that community and creates that value inside that community. And we know that that can be done with franchisees much more effectively than if it was going to be just a corporate-run entity. So we focused on being a franchise. We have a lot of franchising experience. So bringing all this together, designing our support team, designing our collaboration tools, using that leverage of past experience to get vendors in place to be able to maximize the dollars of our franchisees, bringing it all that together. So now fast forward a little bit in terms of the curriculum. When it comes to our curriculum, we actually have 6 different opportunities that families can get involved in Code Ninjas, not just one. So when a family comes inside of Code Ninjas, it's not just a one or done type of situation. They actually have multiple opportunities to get involved based on their experience, based on their budget, based on their time availability, so that convenience factor being our locations. So 6 different opportunities. We have our drop-in program, which is also known as our BELT program. We have after-school programming. We have birthday parties. We have workshops. We have camps. And then we also have Parents' Night Out. And soon we will have our Code Masters program, which is that'll be for 14 years and older, no matter how old you are, actually. It goes all the way up. So those 6 different opportunities that we currently have available give our families multiple opportunities, you as a franchisee, multiple revenue streams and opportunities to really impact your community and get students involved. We've eliminated the intimidation factor. So many times when you go into a space of technology or unknown space, families, parents, they just don't know. They don't understand it. 1% of the population, they really truly get the value of learning how to code, but majority don't. So we just kind of avoid it. Where this is a non-intimidating atmosphere with multiple opportunities. It's our job to help parents that have no idea navigate these waters, set up some STEM goals for their son or their daughter, and how Code Ninjas can help them accomplish those goals. I'd say, the biggest questions we have are why is our curriculum so much different? What's going on with it that makes it special? Well, first, we have lots of franchisees that contribute to our growth as curriculum. We have over 15 coders and programmers on staff developing our technologies throughout our system. But David Grant came up with this belting system, which is really our core, going to be your number one revenue source. Those 9 belts that we have. So just to kind of focus on that drop-in program, those 9 belts. Inside each belt is a certain set of learned skills and concepts. At the end of each belt, those skills and concepts, our students have to show their proficiency in those skills and concepts. And that is on our game development platform. So that game development platform is also known as an LMS. That LMS, a learning management system, is the only one on the market today that I've ever seen that tests kids' proficiency and skills and concepts that make a great coder. And so we built this ourselves. So to go back, Each belt has a certain set of learned skills and concepts within inside of it. At the end of each belt, our students have to build a game that shows their proficiency in those skills and concepts. And then that's how they progress to the next belt. Each belt compounds onto one another. Each is cumulative learning. Each belt works with inside one another. So it's all like compound interest. Each belt has a certain set of learned skills and concepts, and at the end of each belt, they have to build a game that shows their proficiency of those skills and all the prior skills. So it's all building on one another. This curriculum takes about 3 to 4 years to accomplish. This curriculum is done only inside a Code Ninja Center for anywhere from 1 to 3 hours per week. It's a drop-in setting. Like I said, there's no classes, there's no lectures. This is about convenience. This is 90% proprietary and exclusive to Code Ninjas. This curriculum has a built-in robotics program. We have proprietary textbooks that go along with our curriculum as well. This is a self-paced but not self-taught program. So when the students come in, they're going to scan their RFID bracelet. When they scan their wristband, that's going to unlock their ability to access the curriculum inside of the dojo. This curriculum lives on our platform in the cloud and is only accessible through our dashboard. That dashboard is where the students and parents are going to be able to see what skills and concepts their son or daughter has accomplished. They're going to be able to see and play the games that they have already built. So it's very interactive. Students can go back and play and make adjustments to old games, and they can obviously continue to progress. Mom and dad can play the games that their son or their daughter has built as well. So this curriculum, parents are going to pay a flat tuition rate per month. That flat tuition rate per month is based on the level of engagement that they are going to be choosing for their son or their daughter. This curriculum also will have reciprocity will be kicking in with this curriculum soon, which means that they will be able to go to other Code Ninjas, and that Code Ninja Center, so you as an owner would get paid immediately on your next pay, that you would receive monies from that guest visitor automatically. So we have our rules and regulations around that as well. So this curriculum itself is the most popular and the most in-depth that we have that's really even on the market today. Those 9 belts, they're going to go from a complete just using Scratch as drag and drop to understand the concepts in the first belt, moving into JavaScript, learning the syntax of JavaScript. Belt number 2, for example, our students are going to be doing almost 1,100 lines of code just in belt number 2. And now obviously they're going to continue to work through. They're going to learn the syntax of Lua, spend about a year in Lua, spend about a year in C#, and that's full syntax learning and all the way through. So they're learning all the skills, concepts, all the way through, and really what makes a great coder we focus on. More than the technology, we focus on those back-end skills, problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, problem identification, time management, leadership, collaboration. We focus on those back-end skills. The technology, the language is almost a secondary because these skills are fully transferable, so they can actually choose and learn another language as they get older much easier. Great coders and great programmers can pick up a new language over the week or a weekend, but they can't pick up those back-end skills that make them a great coder. Those are all learned skills, and that's what we really focus on. So you have this is our drop-in program. This is only accessible inside of our center. We have camps and workshops. Now, camps and workshops can be offered inside your Code Ninjas and outside your Code Ninjas out into the school system. So you can actually do camps and workshops in schools as well. The difference is camps are 5 days long, and they're typically half a day. Workshops are typically 1 to 3 days, and they're half to full days as well. So whenever there's not school, you can be doing camps and workshops. Even when there is school, you can be doing camps and workshops because you can do them inside your Code Ninjas and inside the school. So we give you some more opportunity to get out into your community. So, and obviously parents' night out, birthday parties, after-school programming, or some other opportunities as well. So that gives you kind of an idea of Code Ninjas. I always take this first 15 minutes and I do the same kind of overview of this first of Code Ninjas, where we come from with David Graham's background, our team in terms of why we try to do a franchise. Your franchise support structure We have everything from internal collaboration tools. You're going to have dedicated individuals for operations, dedicated individuals for technology, curriculum, dedicated individuals for your daily performance, how you're performing inside your Code Ninjas, and that compliance side of it, marketing. We have a 12-week pre-opening marketing template to follow. With over 100 locations open, that marketing template, that roadmap is consistently being sharpened, and the best practices are being always put into that. So you're able to take advantage of all these other centers that are opening. Not only can you connect with them directly, instantly through our collaboration tools, you also get to see it in terms of the roadmaps that we have inside of Code Ninja University. That is a tool that you have access to. We do streaming videos. We do podcasts. We do weekly calls. We have weekly newsletters. Based on our franchisee feedback, we continue to develop our support structure to be able to help you be more successful inside of your Code Ninjas. And that's why we like to connect you with our franchisees immediately when you become a franchisee. So this gives you an idea of Code Ninjas. If you have questions, this is going to be your time to ask whatever questions you have for Code Ninjas, and I'll be able to do my very best to answer those questions, provide some clarity. When it comes to our franchise disclosure document, being that this is a public call and we're not approved in every state yet, I think there's 3 more states that are still in the process. I can't go over the numbers on a public setting, but privately, if your state is approved, I would be able to go over that individually. So I believe New York, Virginia, and Maryland are still in the process of being approved. So we could talk more about that one-on-one if you're in those states or need more insight on the numbers. We have everything also in place for you, from job descriptions to business plans to Excel performance, knowing that franchising restricts what we can share in terms of revenue numbers, in terms of ROIs, and what's inside of my franchise disclosure document is only the information that I can discuss. And knowing that, we also built some pretty nice tools for you to be able to use when you're in the process with us. It doesn't mean you're a franchisee. You're just in the process with us. We give you tools. We want to be able to help you. Your market has to be approved by Code Ninjas. Means that we don't just take money and say your market's approved. This is a partnership, and we're in this together. So we want to be able to give you all the tools to help you build out your model and help you truly see all aspects of what you're getting into, and we want to give that to you as long as you're inside the process with us, and we're communicating and going back and forth, your market is available, those type of things. So when it comes to the Q&A section, it's pretty easy. We have over 20 people on the call today, which we usually average between 20 and 40 in there somewhere. So if you have questions, you would hit *6. That'll virtually raise your hand, and then you'll be able to I will then unmute you, and you'll be able to ask what are the questions that you have. Great. Well, awesome. We already have a few questions. Wonderful. Hi, you have a question?
Hi, this is Akbar. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Okay, the question is that you mentioned that the Virginia is not approved for Code Ninjas because there's a Midlothian location that just got opened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so every year franchises have to go through an approval process in registered states. So we were approved last year, so obviously we had multiple locations that were sold over the last 2 years in Virginia and Maryland and in New York and everywhere else that's a registered state. But every year you have to re-register, so every year you have to go through their approval process. So once their approval process is complete, then we can start selling again and awarding territories in those states.
So what happens in a case when you already have a franchise and then you're going through approval process? What does it hinder us as a franchisee owner during the time you have to get reapproval? Nothing?
Doesn't. Nope. It's only for It's only for awarding new territories. Has nothing to do with existing territories that are sold. It has nothing to do with existing territories that are open. It only has to do with the franchisor awarding new territories to franchisees.
Okay. So if I want to set up an appointment to understand all your cost structure, how things work, from a building the center from start to finish, what's required, what's not required, what's our responsibility, what's your responsibility, or the logistics of it, background check, credit check, however you do all that stuff. When is it be a good time? Do I need to meet up with someone to get all those questions answered? Because I know this.
Well, you should have received an email. I appreciate you being on the call today. You should have received an email from somebody on my team already. So you're going to want to set up a one-on-one call with that individual. They're not going to be able to share revenue numbers with you yet. In most states, we can. Like I said, all of them but 3, we can. But we can talk about cost of doing business, cost of opening. We can go over all that fun stuff. As long as your market is available, we can do a lot right now, but we can't engage in. We can't give you the FDD. We can't engage in the revenue talk. We have to wait until Virginia approves that. So you should have received an email from my team member, one of my team members. If you haven't, feel free to email me, Marty, Marty, @codeninjas.com, and I'll find out who has sent you an email or who you're assigned to, and I'll get that person in touch with you.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome, thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Hi, my name's Lisa. I'm also here with John, and we have been interested in the program for a couple months and are just getting around to setting it up. And recently, you posted a coming soon location in our area, but we haven't seen any signage. So I was just wondering how far along you have to be in the process for you guys to reserve a location, and how we find out about if that falls through, how we get in the queue to take over.
Yeah. So if it's on our website, that means that they paid for, they've paid and signed their franchise agreement and have a projected opening date.
Okay.
So if you see something popped up on our website, that means it's sold, it's paid for, and then obviously we need to look around if there's anything else available around you if you're interested. When it comes to holding a territory, it's a good question. Let's say you found a market nearby you that was available, that was viable, that looked good, and you want to start doing your due diligence. We actually hold territories for you. They wouldn't show on our website. No hold markets show on our website. We do that as a show of commitment to you because you're committing to us by doing your due diligence. So as we're in the due diligence stage, we do hold markets for individuals that are in the due diligence stage. Now, none of those are on the website. Only paid locations are on the website and with their opening date. But to hold a market, we do that in exchange for commitment. So no financial commitments required. It just means that you're working with us, we're working with you, maybe you're coming to Discovery Day. We're both in this due diligence process, making sure this is a good fit. We're more than happy to hold the territory for you if it's available and viable.
All right.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Hi. I had some multiple questions. So is this the right time to ask them, or should I send them out?
Let's give it a go and see.
Yeah. I wanted to know, I'm in New Jersey, and we did see that there are two of the locations which are already on your website, but we do know a few other locations which could be good. So would you recommend something to us, or can we?
Yeah, I can tell you right now, in New Jersey, I can tell you with 100% confidence that you'd have to be like in the Hoboken area, Jersey City area to even think about a location. Anything that's considered a suburb in New Jersey, it's been gone over the last 2 years, probably 10, 15, 20 times, maybe 200 times with individuals. Most territories in New Jersey are sold. So it's very tough to find an available market in New Jersey unless you're closer to the city. It would be very difficult. You can work with somebody on my team, and they can let you know as well. But I can tell you just based on what I know about New Jersey and awarding territories there for the last 2.5 years, it would be very difficult to find something outside of like the Hoboken, Jersey City, kind of Inglewood, that whole side of town closer to the city. Outside of there would be very difficult.
Okay. There's nothing like in Monmouth or Ocean? Is there any other
I don't know all the towns by heart. I just know that a lot of them are going to be it's going to be very difficult because we have a lot of interest from New Jersey, and we probably get, we've worked with a lot of people in New Jersey. Some of our most successful locations are in New Jersey, so I can see why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, then, I might as well just send you an email with all the other questions, and then you can respond to that.
Yeah, I'll forward you on to
it.
Yeah, I would say that if you should have received an email from one of my team members. If you don't have that, please contact me, and then I'll get you in touch with one of my team members for sure.
Okay, that would be great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, you have a question?
Yeah, good morning. This is Jason. I got Heather with me. So how many full and maybe part-time employees would you say is average per center to run one of these Code Ninjas?
Well, you have one center director. That's your go-to. So your center director is the go-to. They're the face of the business. They're the one who is going to be emailing, calling parents, talking to parents, booking appointments, leading your Code Sensei, your team, keeping the center, professional, shiny, beautiful, focusing on the culture, getting involved in the community. That's that center director. You probably start with 3 to 5 Code Senseis. They are part-time. They all don't work at once. You schedule them accordingly. They're typically 17 to 22 years old. They're coaching and teaching the Code Ninjas curriculum. You're not hiring coders or programmers or anything like that. Their number one responsibility is to deliver an exceptional experience and coach and teach the Code Ninjas curriculum. When you start to get into summer camps and workshops, you're probably going to need more than 3 to 5 Code Senseis, which is a great thing. That means you have a lot of students.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you. Any other questions, or is that it? Hi, you have a question?
Hi, I have one more question. 2 questions.
Yes, please.
So my first question is, what are your expansion plans for Canada?
We've been opening up locations in Canada and awarding territories in Canada for the past, I believe, 6 months. So in Canada right now we have close to 25 sold locations, and I believe our first location, if it didn't just open, it'll be open here shortly.
Okay. Do you know where you're expanding in Canada?
Everywhere besides Montreal. How about that?
Okay. And my other question is for the Code Senseis. How do they get hired or trained? Like, what kind of support does the corporate office provide for that?
Well, you'll be when it comes to hiring, we'll give you the job description. We give you training agendas. We give you pathways, but you're responsible for training in your team members.
Okay.
Remember, we're not hiring coders and programmers. We're hiring 17 to 22-year-olds that have maybe a computer science background, maybe a robotics background, and this is what they want to do with their future. So when you have a 17 to 22-year-old that they're looking to come to Code Ninjas, they're not deciding, no offense to fast food, but they're not deciding, hey, should I go work at this fast food joint or should I go work at Code Ninjas? They're coming to us because this is the environment they want to be a part of. And we'll have almost 200 locations. I think we'll have 180 locations open here in the next 60 days. We have about 80 more opening. Not once have I yet to hear anybody say they can't find a Code Sensei. So Code Senseis, they're coming to us. This is the environment they want to be a part of that, and this is powerful for their resume, that they taught kids how to code for X number of years, and they themselves are going to be doing the Code Ninjas curriculum. So they get pretty excited to be a part of our atmosphere and a part of our Code Ninjas.
Okay. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Yeah, this is Taja. I have a question. I have a 2-part question, right? One is, and I think you may have answered it earlier, but I just wanted to be sure. Okay, so if I purchase one, is there an opportunity to talk to existing businesses in my area to just get more information on how this process works, what are the fees, and is it possible to do that beforehand, or how does that work?
Well, yeah, you wouldn't be talking to a local franchisee to understand fees, understand the structure of the business. We educate you on that, and we love to have you connect with our current franchisees after you come to a discovery day. So once you come to a discovery day, we definitely want you to connect with franchisees. That's definitely something we'd love to have you do. Beforehand, it doesn't make any sense, and our franchisees know that if they get contacted, to redirect the individual back to the corporate office. So, because I want to connect you with the right person. It's a very customized process. I want to make sure that I connect you with the right franchisee to help answer your questions. So once we get to know each other and I understand what you're looking for, then I'm going to look at my 225 plus franchisees, find an individual on that franchisee that you would match up well with, and then I'm going to connect you to, maybe with a couple of different franchisees. I don't want to connect you with somebody that is not going to be good for you to answer questions for or to based on what you're looking for. So definitely like to connect you with franchisees that happens after coming to Discovery Day. That doesn't happen before. That doesn't happen after you're a franchisee. It happens before you're a franchisee, but after you come to Discovery Day.
Okay. All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And you mentioned due diligence, right? So I would be totally new to this franchise process. How would I know what to look for as far as, making sure that things are set up or configured properly?
Configure? Now, what do you mean by that? Help me understand configured properly.
So you mentioned due diligence, which to me means going out and verifying that the area that you've chosen is a good fit for you financially. If I don't know if thanks for the clarity. Appreciate the clarity. We approve your market. We'll do, if you say to me, I live in this city. Don't say this city, but I live in this city. And you say, I want to open up within 30 miles of where I live. We are going to do our best to find you that location, the best market. We're not going to approve. I approve all markets for Code Ninjas in the U.S. and Canada and the UK. So they have to come to me. I look at that market. Is it approved for a Code Ninjas? Is it viable? Is it available for a Code Ninjas? If it is, it's approved. You're ready to go. If it's not approved, then we have to find a different market. My team understands what they have to look for, and so I don't have to babysit everybody. But if it's questionable, they send it my way and say, hey, is this something we would like to move into? And if I question it, we have internal and external matrices that we use to make sure that market makes sense, because I do not want you moving into an area that is questionable, and this is your money. This is our brand. We're in this together. It has to be mutually seen as an acceptable market and a great opportunity, not just because, hey, I want to do one there. That doesn't matter to us. We want to make sure it makes sense. All right, perfect. And as far as like the franchise fees and the startup fees cost, right? A week or so back, you mentioned aftercare programs and potentially having to have vans to bus the children. Is that listed as a part of the franchise fees or startup costs?
Well, I mean, if you're going to be buying a vehicle, it would be more of a monthly expense than it would be a pre-startup expense. But when it comes to the after-school programming, you would have to buy a van, wrap it in Code Ninja, and then plan on picking up students at school and bringing them to your Code Ninjas. I can tell you that I believe only about 10% of our franchisees participate in that program right now. It's up to you. You choose to be, it's like a la carte. You can choose what program, what part of Code Ninja's pieces you want to be a part of. About 10% take advantage of after-school programs.
Yeah, and I can see why. And that was my next question. So I understand totally. So thanks.
Awesome. All right. Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Hi, how are you?
Doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm very good. You already answered my question, but love what you're doing, and it's really exciting. So thanks so much for the call.
Oh, awesome. All right. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
Hi, this is Usman. You mentioned earlier you're still in the process of, I live in Maryland State, and when I see on your website there's only 2 locations are showing, one in Germantown and one in Ellicott City. Ellicott City, I live from that location about 2 to 3 miles. I live in Columbia, Maryland. How long will it take for us to find out which location in Maryland we can look into opening a location?
Yeah, I mean, we have actually quite a few sold in Maryland that they should be updated on our website as sold. When it comes to anything you see on our website is a sold territory, sold market, so that's not available. You'd have to connect with my team one-on-one, whoever has reached out to you, and then we could take a closer look at your market and see what's available near you. When it comes to being approved, that just takes, we have to wait for Maryland. Once they do that, then you're ready to go.
One more second part. Actually, I never received any email from your team member. I only initially, when I requested to get the information about my franchisee on your website, I just got an invitation to join this call. Should I be getting an email in the future, or do I have to get in touch with somebody else?
Email me. So maybe, email me, and I'll get you in touch with somebody. If you haven't received an email from anybody yet, I'll make sure that you get in touch with somebody right away. Typically, you would see an email within 24 hours to 48 hours after you've submitted an inquiry. All of our emails are personal. We don't do auto kickback emails. They're all personal. We all write them. We all send them out. So so please feel free to email me, Marty, Marty, @codeninjas.com, and then I'll be able to connect you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, you have a question?
I do. How are you?
I'm doing awesome.
Great. I feel like I know you. I've been listening to all these archived executive calls on YouTube.
Oh, you must be just sick of hearing my voice. Oh, my word. So you're actually starting to get my humor. You probably know when I'm jacked on caffeine, when I'm not. You're probably really getting to know me well.
Yeah, all of that good stuff. Well, first question is this. You kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. When it comes to your already sold locations, I've listened to some of the other calls. You said that you can open a location in as little as 2.5, 3 months, and it could take you longer than that. I spoke to one owner not too long ago who said it took her about 9 months. But but there's a location right up the street from my house that's been coming soon for about a year now, about a year and a week to be exact. And I was excited because I thought, okay, I could put my kids in it, but they still haven't opened. What could cause such a delay?
Yeah, so what it would be is that's probably an owner's second or third location. So, and I'll openly tell everybody our pros and cons, mistakes that we've made, bumps in the road. So in the beginning of Code Ninjas, we had no idea how Code Ninjas was going to take off, right? I mean, for 6 months, I was on the phone, hosting conference calls on the phone 8 to 10 hours a day, and nobody would give me the time of day, right? So and it was kind of like, okay, what are we going to do, right? What's going to happen here? We got a lot invested into this, and then we finally took off. But the rules we had in place in the beginning allowed franchisees to secure their first location, get it open within 8 months, and then 12 months after that, they would have to get their second location open, and then 12 months after that, they could get their third location open if they bought 3 up front. Now, that rule no longer exists, but that to me makes sense of maybe what's happening over by you, is that maybe they're on this little bit longer of a timeline. And if that's the case, but keep in mind, too, there's things with multi-location owners. Things change. Things move. It's not always the same. So what you're going to want to do for sure is make sure that you've in what state do you live in by chance? Don't tell me the city, but what state?
Yeah, Florida.
Florida. So what I would say is that we should look back and say, okay, what's happening? Because what if that person's changing their plans? What if they're moving it somewhere else? So even if a location has been shown as sold for a number of months, definitely connect with us and let's figure it out, because I can look at it, because the landscape of franchising in territories changes a lot. So we can never really give up on a market. We just have to sometimes be more patient. And so make sure you're working with us, and let's take a look at it. Because if you're a good fit for our franchise, we want to make sure that we keep you close to the vest, and we want to make sure that we give you every opportunity along with our franchisees to be successful.
Gotcha. Because the neighborhood is meets every criteria you have. More than 5,000 kids between the age of 5 and 17. Medium income, I think it's 90,000 now. It meets the requirement. So I'm like, oh my gosh, if I could open one right up the street from us, that'd be awesome. That being said, we found two others that would work out perfectly, and that kind of brings me to my next question. When it comes to marketing, I've heard two little kinks, if you will, in the marketing program when it comes to the contracts you guys have with L3. Spoke to two very happy owners. They're suggesting I get in as fast as possible. But the one caveat they had is that it's an exclusive contract with L3, a third party, that they don't feel is working for them. Like they're not getting the leads they need, or they're not qualified enough. Sure. Or one of them is still kind of struggling. She's been open for a year, still kind of struggling, and she can't afford to pay more in marketing because she's not making enough yet in return. So is that something you guys are going to stick with when it comes to marketing L3 all the way, when it comes to Google and Facebook ads, or is there any change there possibly?
Yeah, so let me tell you a little backstory. So when we first started Code Ninjas, it was just David, Burt, and myself. And the first guy that I brought aboard, the first hire that I made, was Andy Giefer, who's still with us today. He was the digital marketing director at my last brand that we worked together for he was there for 6 years. I was there for 12. We worked together for 6 years. So when he left there, he was like the first guy that I hired. Okay, and I knew the importance of digital marketing strategies. And he's still with us. He's our marketing director. But in the beginning, what happened is he was able to handle it all, right? So in the beginning, it was like this, our franchisees were doing great with digital marketing, but then as we started to build and scale, he couldn't handle it all anymore. We had to bring on L3. But now we are actually in the process of doing some things with Andy to help go back into that space again, to where he's great, and he's still our marketing director, don't get me wrong, but we know how to make it better. So competition is always good. So just to kind of give you a little backstory, we are making adjustments and changes if a vendor is not able to deliver. And L3 works with some huge franchises, but there's also other brands that I know of that have competition's good. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and that's the point I wanted to make. If one person is guaranteed all the work, then they can charge whatever they want. But if there's somebody else around, that could help out too. I'm really happy. That's all right. I'm really excited about this. I have a call with Joseph on Monday, so looking forward to it. And thanks for your time, bud.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. And Joe and I have worked together for many, many, many years. He's a great guy.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, looks like we have our last question. So last question, it's all you.
Hi. I had a question regarding the marketing and stuff. Is that included as part of the franchise fees? Is that collected differently? And how do you gauge attention or gauge that people will be drawn to Code Ninjas and the word gets out there that a new location is open and what's all about? People who don't know about Code Ninjas, and how do they get to learn?
So marketing-wise, we don't have pass-through marketing fees. And what that basically means is that we don't take money from you to market for you. We have pathways set up, and then you can actually, obviously you choose your budget to market your Code Ninjas. We have all the pathways. Digital marketing strategies have to go through one avenue. traditional marketing, engagement marketing, where you're out in your community. We have the best practices. We have collaboration tools. You actually know what is working, but in supporting you and getting you out in your community and engaging in your community to get the word out, you're building your market. You're building your community. So when it comes to that side of it, we're going to share that with you, give you ideas, and help support you with that. But we don't give you money to go out and market. You pay for your own marketing. We don't collect and take money from you for marketing. And so gauging your business is also going to be based on what kind of leads are you getting from digital marketing strategies, tracking your leads. It all goes into one system. But obviously understanding your numbers, we have reporting tools that you can look at as well so you have a good idea of your reach and what's happening.
Okay. Do you have some market research that you could share from publicly point of view from what's the ROI on the investment?
So we have, I have a nice projection document that as you're in your due diligence stage and working with us and we feel it's a good fit, before you're a franchisee, you get those tools and you can actually build out your entire ROI, how many students, your cost per student. You can build out your cost of doing business, and it shows you exactly in detail all of your numbers based on your community and what numbers you're punching in. So we have those tools available. I don't just kind of give out numbers because, first of all, it's a public setting, and I can't do that in terms of revenue because not every state is approved, so it's more one-on-one. And when it comes to ROI, it's going to be different based on each community, so we built out that pro forma to allow you to use as a tool in which we can go over together, one-on-one.
Okay. The other question I wanted to ask you, I'm not sure anybody asked this, but knowing from where I come from, I have always learned that you have to create an exit strategy for any business, an enter strategy and exit strategy. So things are not working out. If the franchisee wants to sell a franchise to another person, what is the cost associated from a Code Ninja's point of view? Do they take any cut, or do they help out selling? Do they have no concerns about it, or how is that?
We have to operate your Code Ninjas for at least 6 months. You do have a transfer fee, and we want to help you sell if you want to sell. We don't want you in your business getting down to next thing you know, you can't pay your rent for some reason, and we're just finding out about it. Everything is integrated into our system. We can see your numbers, what's going on, what's happening, what's not happening, and we also want you to engage with us as well. When it comes to selling, no matter if you're successful or you're not successful and you want to get out, we want to help you get out, but we don't sell your business for you. We're not a business brokerage. But we will help you understand what you need to do and what it needs to look like for you to be able to sell your Code Ninjas successfully.
Gotcha.
Okay, awesome. All right, thank you. Hi, we had one more question, so why not just keep rolling? You have a question?
Yes, thanks. We asked a question earlier, but first off, are you calling from Houston?
I am not calling from Houston.
Okay. I know you guys have had some rough weather down there. We're going to be coming down for the Discovery Days next month. But you started to talk about something that kind of cued my interest. Accounting software, is it integrated with your main operating system, or is that kind of like something that we would bring in auxiliary to?
We use QuickBooks Online, and it integrates with our system.
Okay, good, because we already use QuickBooks Online.
Yeah, and we use this company. We also use a company called Quivinci, which is a third-party collection as well. So it works really well together.
So is that kind of like your merchant processing?
Well, no, merchant processing, we built that ourselves. So that's an in-house product that we built. David Graham actually built an entire internal operating system for one of the largest franchises, which is still used today. That's actually how he and I met 10 years ago. And that's still in works today. So very experienced in that realm of that system. So we are able to build our own just for Code Ninjas and our own reporting system.
And do you guys see any need, it sounds like you said 15 coders. Do you have any projections as you start to grow to larger and larger franchise sizes that you would need to bring in more coders?
Well, yes. Being that last year at this time we had 3.
So so the scale for that,
yeah, we're
you guys
always,
have internal mechanism on.
Yeah, so we actually have, being that David owned a school that taught adults how to code, his network of coders, programmers, not just ones who can go down a checklist, but actually ones who can think outside that checklist and think outside that project laterally is really important. And not only that, is having game development developers. Game developers are different than just a typical coder, like software engineers are different as well. So it's like they all kind of have a little different piece that they bring to it. But the game development side of things, those gentlemen, we have 4 of those gentlemen on staff, and then on top of that, we have the others that contribute to that as well, which is 11 more. So for a total of 15, not including David, our CTO Nick, not including some of those individuals that are just on the backside of it as well. So.
And then last question, how do you guys decide on certain platforms? I mean, if you've got like a certain area of the country where all the kids are like, I want to learn JavaScript, or even another area of the country that they're asking to learn some other programming, how do you guys differentiate between all of the different like essential languages that are out there?
Yeah, so the language battle between coders can get like nasty, apparently. I'm not a coder, I'm not a programmer, and honestly I have no desire to be. So now I'm going to force my kids, whether they like it or not. But for me, that's not my pathway. So I've learned over the past 2.5 years as an outsider looking at this and seeing how coders go back and forth over languages. And then I'm hearing about, well, a lot of times projects require multiple languages. So I've really had the blessing to learn from software engineers, from PhDs, from coders, programmers. I've had an opportunity to learn from all these different levels and hearing all these different opinions, almost like a reporter taking in information and really learning about this whole world. And our whole focus since the beginning is never to focus on the language, but the backside of those skills, because projects require multiple languages, and great coders and great programmers, from what I've seen, what I've heard, and nobody's ever argued this point with me ever in 2.5 years of being on the front lines of Code Ninjas, talking to IT professionals and teachers all over the world now. Nobody's ever argued the fact that great coders and great programmers can pick up a new language over a period of a week or a weekend. Nobody's ever challenged that. Great coders can do that. And so we focus on those back-end skills so that our kids, when they get older, they can choose their poison, they can choose their tool, versus saying, you're only going to learn JavaScript. And that's kind of why we have three different languages they're going to be playing with the syntax and learning the syntax of, which is JavaScript, Lua, and C#. And I can tell you, I do a lot of calls in the UK right now, and a lot of those kids are doing a lot of Python. So they're learning just the syntax of Python, but when it comes to the underlying skills of their problem identification, when it comes to just their cognitive skills, they're not even going there. They're just learning Python syntax, that's it, and then they're done. They're only learning a piece of it over a period of like a week or two, and that's it. Then they move on to something else. So they're like technology hopping a lot, and we really we don't want to be technology hopping every 4 to 6 weeks. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, it totally does make sense. And last question. I know I just said that like twice.
No, sorry. Hey, you're the last person, so fire away. That's okay with me.
You know, it seems to me, and I was talking to somebody in your team a couple weeks ago about this, that most of what this is really kind of an after-school program. So as you start to be able to sell out a lot of other camps and a lot of other open time slots, I understand that maybe during the day you might have an opportunity to work with more homeschool kids.
Yeah.
But do you guys see anything else on the horizon to keep it? I kind of jokingly said to my wife, I feel like you guys are like in your first years like Subway, where you were only offering dinner. And as soon as they started to offer, breakfast, it was like, okay, well, now this makes sense to invest in because, your operational hours weren't completely, utilized. What kind of... Because you don't want to rent this out to kids that just want to come in and get free Wi-Fi, right?
No, you're exactly right. So Code Masters is for 14 years and older. So Code Masters is going to be able to bring this to a whole nother place for our franchisees who want to take advantage of the daytime hours. or the morning hours, the breakfast pizza, right? So that's where Codemasters comes in. Because when you're 14 years and older, whether you're 80 years old or you're 15 years old, you're going to have an opportunity to do that Codemasters curriculum. That's not always going to be in-house. That's going to be something they're taking outside as well, doing from home. But there are going to be times where they need to come in. They need to be a part of a more structured setting to learn, and that's where the Codemasters comes in. And that's, we call that our Code Hobbyist program. It's not a vocational program. Vocational is a whole nother step that we're looking at, being that we lived in that world for almost 5 years, 4.5 years. We very much understand the vocational world, and we are, always thinking about how we can take that step again. But I don't foresee that happening until mid-2020.
Okay.
For vocational. Codemasters, the hobbyist program, Codemasters, which is the step above, our Code Ninjas typical program, that'll be ready here in the next couple of months, I believe, to launch.
Outstanding. Okay. Well, no, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody. If you did not have a chance to connect with somebody or your question didn't get asked, please feel free to email me, Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, @codeninjas.com, and I'll do my very best to get back to you right away and connect you with one of my team members. Thanks again for your time today, and look forward to working with you more in the near future.